Here's a comprehensive 2,500-word, continuous explanation in paragraph form, based on verifiable, real-world news and reliable reporting, on the recent explosions in Iran, U.S. and Israeli military activity, and tensions involving Chinese military patrols around the disputed Scarborough Shoal in the South China Sea. I will clarify what has actually happened, what has not happened. For example, no credible reports confirm that the US or Israel has invaded Iran, in the sense of a full-ground invasion, and how these events fit into broader global strategic tensions as of early 2026. In late January 2026, a series of explosions occurred across different parts of Iran, generating significant speculation and concern about whether they signaled escalation toward war. These explosions included blasts in a residential building in Khuzestan province and at a high-rise in the port city of Bandar Abbas, which initially triggered public concern and online rumors that foreign forces such as the United States or Israel might have carried out strikes. However, both US and Israeli officials publicly denied involvement in these explosions, and Iranian military authorities also stated that no foreign drone or military strike had targeted Revolutionary Guard facilities in those incidents, emphasizing that at least some of the blasts were related to gas leaks and internal accidents rather than foreign attacks. Iranian state media and government sources described them as internal occurrences, rejecting the narrative that American or Israeli forces had directly attacked Iranian territory at that moment. New York Post Dagdag 1. The context for these explosions must be understood against the backdrop of heightened tensions that have persisted for years between Iran on one side and Israel and the United States on the other due to Iran's nuclear program and regional influence. In June 2025, Israel launched a major aerial campaign against Iranian nuclear and missile facilities, aiming to degrade Iran's capacity to build a nuclear weapon. These strikes reportedly involved the destruction or heavy damage of nuclear enrichment facilities at sites such as Natanz, Fordow, and Isfahan, along with attacks on ballistic missile infrastructure and military command bases. The operation was described as unprecedented, with fires and explosions heard in Tehran and at other locations as airstrikes hit both military and sensitive infrastructure. Wikipedia Dagdag 1. Shortly thereafter, the United States itself undertook targeted military action on June 22, 2025, when U.S. Air Force B-2 stealth bombers and Navy submarines attacked 3 Iranian nuclear sites, Natanz, Fordow, and the Isfahan Nuclear Technology Center, employing precision, bunker-buster, munitions in a coordinated operation. This marked the first direct U.S. offensive against Iranian territory in decades and demonstrated an escalation of American involvement alongside Israel's campaign, though U.S. officials have described the mission's goal as setting back Iran's nuclear capabilities rather than engaging in a broader invasion. The strikes did not result in reported U.S. casualties but significantly heightened tensions and drew condemnation from countries such as China and Russia, which viewed the action as a violation of international norms. Wikipedia Dagdag 1. In response to these attacks, Iran retaliated in some theaters, such as firing missiles toward American bases in the region, including Al Udeid Air Base in Qatar, in operations it described as defensive or retaliatory measures against foreign military intervention. Nations such as Qatar intercepted many of these missiles, and neighboring countries temporarily closed their airspaces. While no large-scale ground invasion occurred, these exchanges illustrated how the conflict could expand beyond aerial strikes into broader regional military dynamics and risk spiraling into wider confrontation. Wikipedia. Beyond military actions directly involving Iran, US, and Israel, there has been extensive diplomatic maneuvering. Throughout this period, officials from various countries, including European powers, urged maximum restraint and emphasized diplomacy. Simultaneously, Iranian leadership reiterated its readiness to negotiate a mutually beneficial nuclear agreement, even as hardline voices warned that any U.S. attack would be interpreted as an act of war warranting immediate and extensive retaliation targeting not just military but broader strategic interests. Philstar.com. The persistent fear of a major Middle Eastern war with global consequences during this period stemmed from these escalations: Israeli preemptive strikes, U.S. involvement, Iranian retaliation, and the risk of miscalculation or broader military entanglement. While a full-blown invasion of Iran by Israel or America has not been credibly reported, these actions reflect the gravest hostilities between them in decades. Observers warn that any further escalation could draw in other regional or global powers, amplify insurgent or proxy conflicts, disrupt global oil markets, and create humanitarian catastrophes. Philstar.com. Turning to a separate but geopolitically related area of tension, the Scarborough Shoal in the South China Sea has been another flashpoint, though involving China and the Philippines, with indirect American diplomatic and military interest, not directly tied to the Iran-Israel-US conflict but part of broader global strategic competition involving the United States and China. Scarborough Shoal, known in China as Huangyan Island, is a disputed maritime feature that the Philippines claims as part of its exclusive economic zone, while China asserts sovereignty and has built a robust maritime and air presence there. GMA Network. In late January 2026, Chinese military forces conducted combat readiness patrols around Scarborough Shoal, including naval vessels and multiple aircraft such as H-6K bombers equipped with anti-ship missiles, along with Coast Guard ships. China's People's Liberation Army described these patrols as necessary to counter perceived infringement by other states and to uphold what Beijing claims as its national sovereignty. These patrols occurred shortly after joint U.S.-Philippine military exercises nearby, emphasizing the strategic sensitivity of the area and the potential for accidental clashes between rival powers in the South China Sea. South China Morning Post. Although some social media rumors or unverified claims sometimes circulate, including allegations that Chinese bombers entered Scarborough Shoal to attack Philippine or U.S. forces, credible, mainstream reporting confirms that the activity reported has been patrols and show-off force flights rather than direct attacks or combat operations. The presence of Chinese bombers near the shoal is part of a larger demonstration of military capability and territorial claim, not a warlike invasion or offensive strike. South China Morning Post. Scarborough Shoal has been contested for years. In previous incidents, Chinese aircraft and helicopters have aggressively interacted with Philippine patrol planes, and tensions have persisted as both sides assert jurisdiction. The United States has repeatedly criticized Beijing's actions and reaffirmed its alliance commitments to Manila, framing its stance in terms of maintaining freedom of navigation and upholding